gentle mind? Are you gentle-minded? And he lifts up, or he surrounds and protects those that are gentle in mind, but he casts the wicked to the ground. And the wicked are those, if you look at that word, it means those who have done wrong, those who have committed a crime, those that have acted wrongfully. So whenever being depressed, when you are, that word implies being under pressure. When you're under pressure, if you maintain a gentle mind, God will surround you. If you're under pressure and resort to retaliation, then you get cast to the ground. So which is it? Because we find out what's in us. It's like my dad years ago was in the contracting business, and there was a lot of traveling evangelists at that time, tent evangelists that would go out and put up a tent and preach the gospel. And there was an off season for that when it wasn't a good time to put up a tent. My dad would employ these out of work tent evangelists in his contracting business. And he came around the back of a house one time, and one of his employees, a tent evangelist, was up on a ladder working, and he wasn't in a very good mood, and he let forth a string of expletives. And he saw my dad, and he came down that ladder. He said, "Brother Roy, I'm so sorry. That's not me. That's not what I do." And my dad looked at him and said, "Well, if it wasn't in there, it wouldn't come out." So when we're under pressure, it's like the tube of toothpaste. You find out what you resort to under pressure is what you're made of. And so when you are depressed, God exalts the meek. God surrounds, he lifts up, he surrounds the meek. You find out whether you're meek or not when the squeeze is on. You're in a financial squeeze. You're in a relationship. You're under pressure in the relationship, under pressure socially, under pressure in different aspects of your life. What comes out of you? Is it gentleness of mind? God told me many times whenever I have experienced opposition, he said, humble yourself, Russ. Humility is your secret weapon, because the enemy cannot mimic, he cannot reproduce a false version of humility, and he doesn't understand humility. When you choose the path of humility, you literally fall off the enemy's radar, because he doesn't know how to find you or to identify you or to track you when you're moving in humility, because he doesn't have any humility. So choose to walk in humility. And humility many times is more about what you do not do. And it's about moving in the opposite spirit. Jesus taught that time and time again. When they come against you, move in the opposite spirit. When they're unkind, move in kindness. When they malign you, move in kindness, move in gentleness. When they try to take away from you, give into the, I've spent more time moving in benevolence toward my enemies than I have many times my friends, because humility is a weapon. And what happens? It doesn't change the mind of your enemy. It confuses them. But what happens is when you move in the opposite spirit of that which is coming against you, God comes in and he surrounds you and causes an outcome in your behalf that your enemies are not in control of. So God lifts up, he lifts up the meek, those that when they're under pressure respond in gentleness of mind. And I realize that's not popular, because we're taught in our culture just to stand up, to be belligerent, to be forthright, to have that A-type personality, just tell everybody talk to the hand. But is that meekness? Is that humility? See, and yes, I know that feels good to give someone a piece of your mind or whatever that is. But the question is, what's the outcome of that? You're not going to change your enemies' minds. You're not going to change the mind of the people that are putting you under pressure. But what will change the outcome for you is when God sees gentleness of mind. When you're under pressure, you're moving in the opposite spirit, and God says, do you see that? I'm going to go down and surround them. I'm going to lift them up. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to preserve them. I'm Russ Walden. This is Father's Heart Ministry. Go to fathersheartministry.net, click on the subscription link, subscribe to the Daily Prophetic Word.